Hello and welcome to Shazzy Cast. I got an interesting new series for you today. I'm going to be taking a look at the economy in Magic the Gathering Arena. This is in the beta. This video is being recorded on the 5th of December. So I would say that this series is more for either newer players to the game or for players that are considering getting the game. Just to help you understand the ins and outs of the economy and the best way to build your collection. Okay, so we'll start with the daily rewards. Apologies for the copy paste there. I have pulled this straight from the Wizard site. There is a link down below to all of the information that is in this presentation, plus some of the information you can get from the client itself. You need to get 15 wins in a day to collect all of these rewards. If you get all of those 15 wins, and just a note, best of 3 games, if you win the best of 3, then you get 2 wins. So you get a win for each of the wins within your best of 3. So if you get all of these rewards, you will get 750 gold. That's what that gold totals up to, and you'll get 6 cards. The drop rates would be uncommons with a 7 in 100 chance of upgrading to a rare card and a 1 in 25 chance of upgrading to a mythic card. So, 6 cards per day, pretty good. So that's just what you get every day. This all rewards, including the stuff on the next slide, reset at 3 a.m. I think it's EST, which is 9 a.m. GMT for me. That might change due to daylight saving, but that's what it is right now. So additionally to the daily rewards, every day you'll get a new quest, and they will either be 500 or 750. I haven't got the breakdown of exactly what the difference is, so the percentage chance, but I seem to get a lot of 500s and not so many 750s. You'll get one of these a day, and I think you can have a maximum of 2, or that's what it suggests. I do my dailies every day, so I've never had more than 1, other than when I first installed the client. You can reroll 1 of these per day. I usually always reroll the 500s. Because I have lots of different decks, I don't usually re-roll them because of the actual quest itself. I just re-roll them to try and get the 750 for the extra 250 gold, because I want to build my collection. Okay, so there's you also get a weekly, and it resets at the same time on a Sunday, so I think that's 3 a.m. EST or 9 a.m. GMT for me, and that is 3 packs of currently Ravnica, but I'm guessing it goes with what the latest collection is, and you need 15 wins to open those 3 packs. And when you're a new player, you'll see on the right hand side, but I'm not a new player, that you can get a free deck. You'll get the free decks every day, and then you'll get a bunch of free decks right at the end. I think it's after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, you'll get all of the free decks. And just a reminder here, don't spend all your wildcards or any of your wildcards before you get all of those free decks, because the free decks come with free cards, and if you're trying to make a higher tier deck, just wait until you've got all of those free cards first before you start spending any of your wildcards. And also you might want to look up some higher tier or tier 1 decks to play with, but we'll touch on that later. Just a quick note in the brackets underneath the additional rewards here on this slide, what we can see is, if you haven't already, if you enter the code PlayRavnica, and that's with a capital P and a capital R, into the code box on the client, you will get 3 free packs. Now this was a code that was given away in booster packs. I have bought the booster packs. I didn't get the free code. I emailed support and they gave me this code, and I've done it, my friends have done it, etc. And everybody gets the 3 free packs if you put this code in. So that's useful to know. Okay, as well as all of these gold rewards, we also get wildcards. I can't remember how many wildcards you get, but to start with, but you do get some. A wildcard basically allows you to exchange the wildcard for any card of this rarity. So, you know, mythics exchange for mythics, rares exchange for rares, etc. You can only do this once. So once the card is exchanged, you now have that card in your collection. We'll go on to what happens if you get a 5th copy of a card. Some of you may already be aware, and some of you may not on the next slide. You can also hover over, as you can see on the far left of the screen. So you'll see these in your collection, which is what it looks like in the middle of the screen. You can also hover over next to the gold, and it'll show you how many you have of each. As you can see, the uncommon ones generally don't become a problem. In each pack that you open, you will get 5 uncommon cards, 2 uncommon cards, and 1 mythic or rare. The uncommons have a 1 in 3 chance of upgrading to a common wildcard. The uncommons have a 1 in 5 chance to upgrade to a wildcard, and the mythic or rare has a 1 in 24 chance of upgrading to a wildcard. As well as the wildcards that you receive in packs, as you can see on the right hand side, there is a track. There's an uncommon track, which is constant. So every 6 packs you will get an uncommon. 6 packs that you open, you will get an uncommon wildcard. For every 6 packs you open, you will get a rare wildcard. And then after every 4 rares, you will get a mythic track to open a mythic wildcard, which, as you can see, just that tiny, this tiny one here. So this is the mythic track. So after you've opened 6, 12, 18, 24 packs, then open another 6, so 30 packs. Every 30 packs you'll get a mythic wildcard. Okay. The vault. So the controversial vault, or as some people say, the 5th card problem. So every it's currently being reworked on, and the most likely fix for it is to have no possibility of opening a 5th card. That's going to take a few months, and I'll make an update video when there is more information from Wizards. The vault progression is actually hidden if you have under 100%, unless you use a third-party app such as Magic the Gathering Arena Tracker, MTGA Tracker, as you see on the left-hand side. And the screen, the shot that I took of it here, I had 63.3% vault progress. When you fill the vault, and it takes 900 points to fill the vault, I'll go through what that means in a second, you get 1 mythic wildcard, 2 rare wildcards, and 3 uncommon wildcards. The fill rates are as follows. For every 5th copy of a mythic rare, you get 10 points into the vault. For every rare, it's 5 points. For every uncommon, it's 3 points. For every common, it's 1 point. So those mythics and rares that are going into the vault feel bad. On the right hand side, that's what the vault looks like, and it'll appear in the top right of your screen in the top bar somewhere, and you can click that and open the vault, or you can leave it as is and it will continue to record the progress of your vault. I feel that the problem of the vault is kind of overstated, and I don't think it should prevent or should stop new players from investing in cards. It does feel bad when you've just crafted 4 mythics for a deck and you open one and get a 5th card. It feels bad. But the possibility of that happening when you're building a new collection, not so big. If you've seen Saffron Olive's video, he did have that problem, but you have to imagine he he'd opened a lot of packs anyway, and he was trying to get some wild cards or trying to get some Vraskas to in a collection that he'd already kind of nearly maxed out. You know, rather than, so for example, my progression, I've got a very even split of all of the collections, because you know, that's what I've been prioritizing when I buy packs, what I've been prioritizing when I do draft, etc. So I've got a very even split. So the fifth card problem doesn't really affect me that much, and I've opened 3 or 4 vaults now in the space of a month and a bit since the beta started. But I have bought cards. I've probably spent about $100 on cards, and I also do sealed and draft, etc. And I do a lot of the events, which we're going to talk about on the next slide. So I don't think the fifth card problem is that much of a problem for new players, and it is getting dealt with. So happy. Okay, constructed, or a way to generate gold and build a collection. You've got 2 events that are running all the time. There's the constructed event, which is best of 1, and the competitive constructed event, which is a best of 3. I've shown them both here. The constructed event is 500 gold, and you have the possibility of winning 1,000 gold, so that's 500 more than you entered with, and you get 3 cards, which if you which is at least 2 rares and a common. Sorry, if you get the 7 wins, you'll get at least 2 rares and an uncommon with a chance of upgrading to mythics. You only need 4 wins to break even on gold, and then you will get at least 2 uncommons and a rare card, and those again have the chance of upgrading. You can incur up to 3 losses before the event will end. And it's the least risky of the 2 events, and it's generally less competitive. So the constructed event is generally less competitive than the competitive constructed. And that's just because of the kind of decks that people play, the kind of players that play it. People seem to try hard a lot more in the competitive. Okay, so just to move on to competitive, it costs 1,000 gold to enter. It's more risky because at 0 wins you receive 0 gold, whereas at 0 wins you receive 100 gold in the constructed event, and it's much harder to go 0 or 1 wins in the constructed than it is to go in the competitive constructed. You only need 2 wins though to break even on gold, and if you do break even on gold, you're going to get at least 1 rare and 2 uncommons. If you get 5 wins, you're going to get 2,100 gold, which is 1,100 gold above your entry, and you're going to get at least 3 rare cards, which is much higher, quality of cards that you're going to get out of that event. And 5 wins is not difficult to do. It is more competitive, it is more risky, but the rewards do pay off. But I would highly recommend having a tier 1 deck to compete with that you are very proficient with a good sideboard. So just to note, it is a best of 3 compared to the best of 1 in the constructed event, and you do have an optional 15 card sideboard, and I would recommend that you are either proficient at sideboarding or you are proficient at least at sideboarding with this deck. So play a lot of ladder, play a lot of friends, practice this event, just practice with your deck until you're very proficient with the sideboarding of it, and keep constantly changing and evolving the deck depending on the meta that you're coming across in competitive constructed. There is a lot of control decks, but saying that, there's also a lot of weenies, aggro, mono red, mono blue, white weenies, Boros weenies, and then there's a lot of Grixis, Esper, Jeskai, Izzet Drakes, and then spatterings of things like Golgari, and then some Merfolk if you're lucky, or some lower tier decks. Again, if you're lucky, you might come across, if you lose one of your games, you might come across some of those lower tier decks. But you're more likely to see the lower tier decks in the constructed event than the competitive constructed. So these are good ways to build your collection. And if you can go 4 wins or even 3 wins, and you're doing this for your daily rewards, I usually do my dailies in the constructed event, generally with a rush deck to make the games faster, so mono blue, mono red, or Boros Weenies, my favourite to take through the constructed event. And in the competitive constructed, I'll usually use something like a Grixis control, Esper control, Jeskai control, or a mid-range like Golgari, or even I kind of enjoy Boros Weenies, and I've had 5 wins with all of those decks in this event, but I've also probably had 0 wins with all of those decks in this event. So, you know, there are swings. You know, magic is magic. Sometimes you're just gonna get really unlucky with your lands, and you know, you're gonna get 0 wins. So they're good. And I use these to farm my dailies, to increase my gold, and to work towards those limited entries, which we'll talk about now. So we have draft, competitive draft, and then there's things like sealed, which I don't have here because it wasn't available when the video was produced. You can find a full event calendar on the Wizards site of what is going to be running, because these events do rotate. As you can see, the sign up ends for the draft core set in about a day from now. The draft, just the normal draft, you can enter for 5,000 gold, and you can turn your gold then into gems, which can be used to either buy cards, enter more draft, or to save up for competitive draft or sealed. I would like to see a way to buy in for gold for the competitive draft and the sealed. I feel that yes, the rewards are quite high for those, but there could be an equivalent gold. So, for example, if it's 1,500 gems, then why not make it 10,000 gold? You know, it just feels like it could be, Wizards could be giving a bit more to the community here. You get to keep all of the cards that you draft, so it's very similar to the drafting that you would do live, apart from your drafting versus bots, and you get to keep every single card that you draft as you would in live. And then there's good rewards. You know, there's in the normal draft, there's you're going to win at least 1 pack with a possibility of, and it's an increasing possibility of that turning into 2 packs. You need to at least 5 wins to be positive on gems in the normal draft, and you need 2 wins to be even on gems in the competitive draft. And sealed, I can't remember, but there is a 7-win sealed video on my channel that you can check out, and that should, from watching that video, you should be able to figure out where the break-even point is. Limited can be a very good way of building a collection. It's tough to go infinite, especially in competitive. It is very, very tough if you get a bad draft. If you're not very good at drafting. I wasn't good when I first started. I was horrible, and I was getting 0 wins, 0 wins, 0 wins. Now I even between 4 and 7 wins. I've only been saving up for drafts right now. I've spent, I feel, enough on my collection. My collection's getting pretty full now. I can build pretty much any deck I want to. There's a few decks that come out that, you know, from like Eldrazi, who, you know, has some very interesting decks that I can't build because I just don't have the cards for those. So But everything else, all of the general standard decks I can build. So I'm just kind of building the rest of my collection for free, enjoying some draft when I get the gold for it. Okay, there is no practice mode, so if you've played something like Artifact, which I will be doing a review on, and I will be doing a review of their economy system, they do have a test mode for draft, but their draft, they also have a version where you don't get to keep the cards, which kind of sucks, and you actually have to pay for the packs and the event ticket to play a version where you keep the cards, which is different from Magic, but more on that in that video. And like I said, it would be good to have that goal entry for the sealed and the competitive draft. Okay, and then lastly, special events. There are things like Singleton, things like Pauper, which all have their own rules. There's things like streamer events. The only problem I have with these events is I feel that they don't have good enough rewards. They're more fun than collection building, and I think if the rewards were better, I would play these more. I don't play them that much. I'm more focused on optimizing my time to build a collection right now, because ranked is kind of meaningless, which should change in the next 8 or so days. I'll be doing a video on the new rank system when that comes out. That should be interesting, to say the least, and there should be some rewards in the new rank system, and that will obviously, I'll do that in that video as it becomes more apparent. So to conclude, I think the economy is good. The fifth card problem is probably overstated for new players. Free-to-play is definitely a possibility, so you can build a collection in free-to-play if you've ever moved from games like Hearthstone. I wasn't free-to-play, but I did a free-to-play account in the US, and it is, is definitely possible in this game. I would recommend, if you wanted to snowball a collection, that an initial investment for a tier 1 deck is recommended, so not too much, maybe $10, $20 worth of cards, and you should be able to build a tier 1 deck from the wildcards that you get once you've opened all those free decks. Drafting is a great way to build a collection. Gold entry would be nice for competitive sealed, as I mentioned, and the special events I feel need better rewards to make them not just about fun, but about collection building too. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you have any questions whatsoever. Please follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and that's it for now. Thanks for watching.